Hello, JCPS, and good afternoon. My name is Jack Bosley, and I am with the Digital Innovation team here in JCPS. We've got a lot of great sessions this afternoon, and also want to remind everybody that we've got people who monitor the chat, so make sure you head over there and introduce yourself and let us know where you teach or where you work. We appreciate you joining us. Our first session this afternoon is with my teammate and friend Russ Hockenberry, who's going to be talking about DPOJ and STLP, which is a lot of acronyms. So I guess, Russ, that may be the first thing that we need to get out of the way is what all those acronyms actually stand for. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Share my entire screen. Here I go. We are here to talk about DPOJ today. And so you're probably like, what is DPOJ? Well, DPOJ stands for Digital Product Online Judging. And it is part of it's a competition, is part of a program that was started by KDE over 20 years ago, STLP. And you may or may not have heard of STLP before. It's been around a long while, like I said, over 20 years. And it stands for Student Technology Leadership Program. Okay. And so it is a really cool, all-encompassing thing where you have kids competing in stuff like robotics. They also have a technology, kind of like a technology fair where it's basically kids come up with projects and they showcase their projects and they talk about how we can change the world with technology, basically, how we can make things better with technology. Well, the DPOJ part of STLP is really great because anybody in a school can compete in DPOJ. All right. And the really neat part about it is you have probably already been doing work that could fit into some of these categories with your students, and you didn't even know it, right? But you could have a potential state champion in your classroom. Appearing on your Google Meet screens this year, not necessarily sitting in your classrooms, but appearing on your Google Meet screens this year, there could be a state champion out there in JCPS in one of these categories. So we're going to talk about this today, and I'm going to make my screen bigger. So just a real quick thing. Thank you, Danielle, Elaine, and Steven for helping me on this project. You can find STLP-related stuff by following the hashtag STLP Rocks. That's the state hashtag. And you can also follow our hashtag JCPS Dig In for all kinds of digital innovation stuff. So let's talk about Digital Project Online Judging, right? What is it, or what it is, as I think Danielle wrote here, the categories. It is basically a bunch of categories for your students to compete in with everything they do digitally. It probably fits in the category. So we've got stuff like digital art. We've got stuff like digital music. We've got stuff like infographics, multimedia content, PSA videos, photography, graphic design, e-publishing. You know, if you are familiar with the PTA Reflections Contest, and I know a lot of people are, that happens every year about the time we go back to school, a lot of the same stuff your kids do for those PTA Reflections Contests will fit into one of these DPOJ categories as well, right? And it's really cool because it can be from any student in your school, from K through 5. Or K through 12, or it's not just elementary though. It's K through 12, right? So I'm stuck in that elementary world because I taught at Chenoweth Elementary for over a decade. But this is for elementary, middle, and high. There are different categories, which is great. And so it can be work that you've already done. So, for example, last year when we were still walking through school buildings, I was walking through Great House Elementary, and on one bulletin board, they had a bulletin board where students had created infographics about endangered species. We got a category for that in DPOJ. A kid could easily submit their work as an infographic for DPOJ, right? And you can basically, what I tell teachers is to pick the 2 best from your class or from your school to submit, right? So 2 per school, right? So you would pick your 2 best and you submit those to the state level. So Another example of that would be I saw a bunch of last year when we were talking about there was some sort of geometry unit going on, and I was walking through a school, and they had pixel art, and so the kids had basically filled in the cells and created stuff, these different geometric shapes, and that could fit in digital art. So if you've got really creative kids and they've done work, digital work, it fits. So there are lots of different categories there. We'll tell you where to find the rubric, which is on the STLP super sheet, which is linked in the presentation, which is linked on our digital learning channel schedule, which Jack will post in the chat. All right, so let's talk about some of the categories, right? This is the digital art category, and also it could be graphic design as well. You've got first place last year in the whole state came from Bloom Elementary. All right, that's Bloom Elementary, JCPS Bloom, right? Which is great. Graphic design K-5 division. This is Harriet Tubman, and this is just Google Drawings. This kid used Google Drawings, and they did something called what's known as vector art, where they took an image of Harriet Tubman and they used the polyline tool to trace over like her face and her clothing and just trace out the shapes, and it makes a really cool effect. All right, it's kind of like digital tracing. And this one first place in the graphic design category. Really neat. And you're probably thinking, what makes this graphic design versus digital art? And it's really simple. And if you're a graphic designer out there, you're probably going to get really offended by this. But really, what it is there's words on it, right? You can't tell me what I can and can't do. That makes it graphic design, because you've got text and then you've got art there. Okay, so that makes it graphic design. If there was no text on there, guess what? It fits in the digital art category. But you add text, it becomes graphic design. So just a really quick distinction for you. If you see text, it's probably going to be graphic design. If there's no text, it's going to be digital art. But yeah, this was first in the K-5 division last year. Really cool thing. Here's another thing that was entered. This was also entered into the competition last year from Bloom Elementary. It was Martin Luther King. They did the same thing, vector art, and really cool project there as well. So,
hey Russ,
yeah, go ahead.
Did you tell us that some of these art projects ended up? I don't. Maybe you're going to say this in a minute, but did they end up in a local coffee shop or something like that? Or
yeah, Highland Coffee. There was actually whoever the teacher was that did this at Bloom Elementary. They had several students do art like this. So there was one on Barack Obama that was really cool. The Harriet Tubman, the Martin Luther King, obviously. I think Malcolm X was in there as well. It was for Black History Month. It was awesome. And they had several pieces hanging up at Highland Coffee throughout the month of January, February, and the first part of March, right? So pretty neat stuff that Highland Coffee was like, whoa, man, it's cool what these kids are doing. Let's use this in our establishment, right? So it went beyond STLP and beyond the classroom, which is really neat. But yeah, so just to say, your kids can do this as well. Vector art, look it up. Have your kids watch a video on it. You can just trace any image, and it creates a really cool effect. And you get, this takes skill. Don't get me wrong, but this is stuff that people can do, right? Vector art. All right, here's another category, digital photo. Your kids are taking photos everywhere. And again, like the PTA reflections contest, there's always a photography category, right? Just like that, there's a digital photo category for STLP. And so this is just a photo of that science experiment where you put the Skittles in milk or some sort of concoction and the colors separate. It's a photo of that. Really cool photo. It won second in the state last year in K-5 division from Low Elementary. Pretty neat. So your kids are taking photos, and they might even this might not even be a thing where you're like, I'm assigning kids to take photos. Maybe you just put it out there to your kids. Hey, do you like to take photos? And you're like, send me your best one. And when they send you their best one, you say, okay, let's submit it. Okay. This one is from Steve Derm when he was at Bates Elementary. I apologize for the poop word in there, but again, this is Steve Derm from Bates Elementary, my partner in Zone 3, and he submitted this with his kid from Bates, Zoe from Bates. They basically what it is, a manipulated image. They use a filter they take a picture and they use a filter and it make it look different, and that's what this was submitted from Bates a couple years ago. And this is really important because it shows when kids submit a DPOJ, they have to submit a reflection with it as well. And so that's where this fits in with the backpack too, man, because the backpack, what does it require? It requires a reflection. So their kids are used to writing stuff like this, right? And so all the kids do is they say, I use, this app to do this, or and this is my thought process. And these were the steps I did to complete this. Okay. And it's usually just a paragraph. 3-4 sentences, something like that, and that's totally fine. But yeah, the reflection also has to be included with every submission.
Yeah, and Russ, I'm glad that you brought that up because Danielle and Matt, who are on our team, just chimed in on the chat, and we're talking about how, just reiterating what you said about how these projects tie into as backpack artifacts, right? Almost everything that you do in DPO. I can't think of a DPOJ that doesn't tie into the JCPS backpack.
Exactly. It really is the best representative of what digital work should be. There's no worksheet category. So it's kids creating, which is awesome. Technical writing. Now this is one this was a first place submission last year from Blake Elementary, where they just wrote how to upload artifacts. I just caught that typo there. I've done this presentation like 3 times, and I never caught that typo. How to upload artifacts in your JCPS backpack. But see, that's not my typo. That's Jeff Sobolski's typo with the state, so we're going to let it slide. So what it is just kids, if they like to describe steps on how to do something, that's what this is. So basically, step 1, you do this. Step 2, you do that. Step 3, 4, and so on and so on. So all you do is you write steps to do something, and that's what this category is. And so this was the steps on how to upload artifacts in your JCPS backpack. A kid wrote those steps out, and they won first place at the state competition in the technical writing division, which is really, really awesome. So if you got kids that like sequencing, or if you want to bring this in, we teach sequencing in our classes, right? This would be a great practical application of that. Infographic. This is one of my favorite categories because I really feel like it's gaining steam these last few years, and particularly when we talk about new media. So pardon me, sorry about the yawning. Infographics are just basically visual representations of data. So you've seen these in magazines, you've seen these in documentaries. If you watch Kamal Bell's United Shades of America, you might see stuff like this as well. Any of the Morgan Spurlock documentaries, they use infographics all the time. So it's visual because it's got images and it's got text. It's got usually statistics. It's got any kind of thing you can do. And I saw an infographic last year for the middle school division on corn. They just talked about corn and in corn production in the United States. So basically anything can be an infographic. And like I said earlier with Great House Elementary, they were talking about they did infographics on endangered species. So every kid picked one endangered species. And that kid did an infographic on the northern seal. I'm just making that up. I don't even know there is a northern seal. But they did, this kid might have done one on the, domestic meerkat or whatever. I don't know. So your kids are doing this work on this type of stuff, and it fits. This is one from Mazik Middle School where they talk about the different types of learning, visual, oral, and verbal, and they just kind of explain those. And they use color, they use shapes, they use images. And the really cool part is this is just done in Google Drawings. Google Drawings, if you're not a fan of Google Drawings, you're just not familiar with Google Drawings. Because Google Drawings, man, it is a blank canvas. And all it really is just one giant slide. But you can do so many things in Google Drawings, and your kids can too. So check that out. Infographics, great category. that's happening in our schools.
Thanks, Russ. I'm glad you mentioned that. I saw that you had the visual representation of those Google tools, but I'm glad you said it out loud, because I was going to ask you, if you're just starting out, what tool you would recommend for infographics. So that's it. I'm a huge fan as well.
Yep. Word art. That's word art there. The different types of learning. There's so many different skills that go along with this as well. New for 2021, we have new categories this year in DPOJ. Let's talk a little bit about those. Minecraft, Kentucky farming. So every kid in JCPS has Minecraft available to them now, right? On those Chromebooks. So this year, the competition for Minecraft is to build a working farm that you might find here in our Commonwealth. All right. So basically, they're going to research what kind of farms do we have here in Kentucky, so that they might say, like, I'm going to grow this. Give me a crop that we have here in Kentucky, Jack.
Oh, corn, soybeans, tobacco is still pretty popular in certain parts of the state. So
exactly. So those are some stuff they'd find out that we grow here in Kentucky, and they'd have a farm with that represented on it. They build that in Minecraft. They might have the animals that you would see here in Kentucky, so they wouldn't have a polar bear farm, or they wouldn't have a penguin farm, right? Or a kangaroo farm. I guess we're not going to go with Kentucky down under here, but just thinking about a typical farm in Kentucky, what it would look like, that's what they're going to build here, right? And then they're just going to record a 3-minute or less screen capture overview of the farm, where they talk about, here's where the soybeans are, here's how we take care of the livestock. I've allotted this much land for whatever. So really cool competition with Minecraft, and it's available to every kid in JCPS, which is really awesome as well. So Minecraft Kentucky farming, that rubric is available, and I'll show you in a minute that STLP super sheet so you can get a good look at those rubrics. All right, original photo essay, which is a really cool category they added for this year. And you've seen photo essays before. It's just pictures that tell a story with no words, right? So you look at this example from this Wired Impact website. Here, this kind of tells a story to me. If I look at this, I'm thinking this might be in a different country. It might be in somewhere like Honduras or, possibly South America. And they've got running water there, and they're washing their face with it. They're washing their feet with it. They're drinking it. And it just tells a story, right? So you can have kids take a picture. It might be a day in the life thing, where it's like they take a picture of them or their mom or dad getting up out of bed in the morning, and then they make breakfast, take a picture of that, and then they start their day with NTI, and then they help their brother and sister, and then they take a picture of themselves going to bed or something like that. So they just tell a story. Or it could be as simple as, let's take a picture of how to make breakfast. First I get the box of cereal out of the cabinet, picture. Then I get the spoon, picture. Then I get the milk, picture, and so on and so on. It can be something very minute, or it can be something even on a bigger scale. Speaking of that, this is a great category for social justice. So if you've got kids that are really interested in social justice, this would be a great category for them to use pictures to tell a story about that movement with no words, right? So excellent category there. And what I would do here again is I would just use Google Drawings and have the kids just create a big giant slide and place those pictures on that giant slide, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a great idea, Russ. I love the connection into the social justice piece, and that can be really powerful. A lot of schools, I think, have a focus on that.
Absolutely. All right, media literacy awareness. If there ever was a category for 2021, Jack, it's media literacy awareness. So students are going to come up with 3 pieces of media designed to educate their community about disinformation. So when we talk about media, it could be anything. It could be poster. This is a poster I made in Google Drawings. It could be video. Kids create a video. It could be kids create an audio clip. It could be anything. This rubric is not yet available yet, so I don't know if it has to be different media. It might be they can create 3 different posters, or it might be they can create 3 different videos, or it might be they do a combination. So look for more on this category coming up soon. It would be a great start, though, to have kids create a a video on or create a poster like this in Google Drawings if you're interested in this category. So this is just a generic one where I made Fight the Fake, and it's awful aliens land in Brown Park, and it just talks about check the date and look for other sources. Again, this is a very generic example, but this would be an example of media literacy awareness. One thing when we think about the events of last week, we hear a lot of people talking about the need for social studies, right, in our society. But we didn't hear so many people talking about the need for media literacy, which is really important and I think really pertinent to that discussion. So, really great category for 2021, media literacy awareness.
Yep, I totally agree. The two most important jobs in society right now, the history, social studies teacher, civics teacher, and media awareness. So.
Yeah, you and I had a mutual friend back in the day that said the most important thing you ever teach your students is what, Jack?
I don't know, Russ. I can't even remember. You're putting me on the spot.
Digital citizenship.
Digital citizenship. Yes, of course.
Very good.
How could I forget? Right.
Very good. Moving on. Kentucky Travel. What is special about your community? Okay, come up with a campaign to promote the best things about your hometown. So, man, we are so lucky in Louisville because we have a really special community, right? Louisville, there's so many things you can do, and you basically, kids would come up with a campaign to promote those things. So they might create a poster for the Ali Museum, or they might create a poster for maybe several museums. So like they create a poster of like visit all our museums, and they've got a poster of a picture of Muhammad Ali, and they've got a picture of a bat, and they've got different words and text and all that kind of stuff. Or they create a video talking about all the different places in Kentucky. Or in Louisville, not Kentucky. Just a campaign to promote our hometown and why people would want to travel here, right? So, excellent category for this year as well. So many categories. Actually, I'm not done yet, so I don't know why I did that. All right, so remember, I concluded iMovie and clips down here. Those are great tools when you're talking about making video. If you've got access to iPads, I know many of our DPVille schools do, and other students across the district. So now what? I've told you about all these different categories, right? If you are the SDLP coordinator or coach or teacher, you should share the rubric. All right, and the rubric is linked here on the SDLP super sheet. I'll open that up. And again, this is all linked in that presentation, which is linked on the Digital Learning Channel schedule and in the chat. You've got all the categories here. When you go over here, you've got the rubric you can click on, and then you click on that link and it takes you to the rubric, which this is great too. If you're just teaching stuff in class, you're like, I need a rubric from the infographics my kids create on endangered species. Well, here you go. Click on the rubric here, and you've got a great a rubric ready to go. So that's the cool thing about this. Even if you're not doing SDLP, you've got a description of what the contest is, or what the category is. You've got all this different stuff. Who can enter it? Is it a K through 12 competition, or is it a K through 5 competition? That kind of stuff. Luckily in DPOJ, everything is K through 12, so that's awesome. And so that is where you get those rubrics. And rubrics are important, so check those out. There are a bunch of categories I didn't even go over, like book trailer. If you're a librarian, a lot of librarians have their kids create book trailers. We had a first place winner last year for a kid created a book trailer on Wonder. And, the kids love to create book trailers. There's a category for that in SDLP DPOJ. So you would definitely pick your best two, and you just submit those from your school, and you can be a state champion. Field has won that category for many, many years. And I think last year Blake won that. So that's a JCPS dominated category, which is excellent. All right. So you look at the rubrics, you determine which students should apply for this category, because like I said, you've got to pick your best. You can't enter 30. You've got to pick 2 in most categories. And then you would say, you just, if students have questions, you answer them. Check for copyright issues. So if a kid's using a bunch of images that they don't have permission to use and they did not cite them, that's going to be an automatic, basically, disqualification. So that's important. Copyright is important. Make sure your kids know how to cite their sources, or if they're using Google Images through the JCPS search engine, and they're marked for fair use, that needs to be noted as well. These all images are marked for reuse, that kind of stuff. And then On this last page, I've got the due date. These are all due on February 19th. Check more on that from your school's coordinator, which you can find on this list. Okay, there's the STLP super sheet. I've got a link here to your school. If you don't, you're like, I'm at Low Elementary and I don't know who my school coordinator is. Well, you're in luck because I've got it all linked out here for you. And you can go to your zone, which is zone 3, and you see that Low, that's Adrian Sams. So I need to contact Adrian and say, hey, I've got my kids did this infographic. Do you think this would go into the DPOJ? Sure. And Adrian would help you and get that submitted, right? If you're looking at this list and you're like, I work at Goldsmith and I don't have anybody for me, tell you what you can do. You can email me and say, Russell Hockenberry, I have something that might fit. Will you help me get submitted? I will. Yes. Please do email me and say, I think this might fit. If you have anything that your kids have done and you're like, wow, this is really, really awesome. My kids did an amazing job. Please email me or email your coordinator, your STLP coordinator at your school. I would love to help out. So that's what I have on DPOJ, Jack.
Well, awesome, Russ. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't know if I did the camera angle right, but now I'm going to put you on to make sure everybody knows who Russ Hockenberry is. I mean, you're probably the most famous guy in JCPS anyway, with your work on this. So it's just, I can't say enough good things about STLP in general, and the DPOJ just expands that even further for all schools and kids who may not be, formally part of an STLP team. So I think it's great. And
yeah, I think it's amazing. It's a great opportunity for our kids, and it's work that they've probably already done. And if not, they may see something that they're interested in. They can pick it up, right? So pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Russ, for coming on today and sharing all your knowledge. Your leadership has just made STLP blow up in JCPS. Yeah. So,
well, thank you. And I just want to say, is Oliver wearing a Houston Astros hat? Are you wearing Houston? Really? I mean, it's like I just want to start banging on a trash can right now. I mean, don't come in here with that, Oliver. Come on, this is JCPS, man. All right. Later, guys.
See you, Russ. Thank you for leaving us with that piece of wisdom as I start my next segment. So, despite that, Oliver, we are super excited to have you on, and my other favorite teammates, Danielle Washburn and Matt Balka, who are digital innovation leaders for the high school. And Oliver, I'll give you a chance to give your formal title, but Oliver is with Nearpod, and we're really excited to hear about all the great information that you have to share. So with that, I'll kind of turn it over to you all.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you for letting me join on today. I apologize about the Houston Astros hat. I haven't gotten my hair cut yet, and this is the hat I chose this morning. But I work with Nearpod. I'm the regional sales manager for the state of Kentucky and Ohio. I've worked with several districts in Kentucky on bringing in Nearpod to the district and at school level, of course. And I wanted to kind of take the time today to just teach you guys a little bit about kind of Nearpod 101. And how you guys can get started and really kind of the basics of what you could do with Nearpod. And hopefully we can have some fun doing that.
Yes. And we just want to say thank you so much, Oliver, for being here. I know there's a lot of JCPS schools that are super excited to get started, or maybe they have started in using Nearpod and they have found great resources on your platform. So thank you so much.
Definitely. Well,
yeah, Nearpod is the new, it's like the new golden child of NTI. Like we started out and it was like Google Meet, Screencastify, and now it's like you guys are the it kid. So everybody wants to sit at your table.
All right. That's good. That's good to hear. No, definitely. I've been seeing it on our back end, just like, crazy amounts of usage throughout Jefferson County. So I'm excited to start doing some of that groundwork of like helping you guys take the start that you've done and make it a leap, and see where we can go from that. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and we can get going from here. So I think one of the easiest ways to kind of get engage with Nearpod is through actually joining a lesson. So if you guys don't mind, if you have another device nearby, or if you want to open up another window, you can go to join.nearpod.com, and you're going to type in HMU7L, where it asks you to type in a lesson code. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to do so. Again, you guys are going to join.nearpod.com, and it's going to ask you to type in a code, and that code is going to be H as in hair, M as in money, U as in umbrella, 7, and L as in love. And it's not case sensitive at all. All right, I'm going to let that number kind of build up a little bit there. I see we got some folks joining in.
You should be looking for around like 8 people, Oliver. That's what it looks like we have right now.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then it's also going to ask you to kind of put in a name as soon as you join in, and you can kind of put whatever. And I'll get to like the halfway mark of who we're, our number that we're looking for, and I'll go ahead and get started. Again, that code is going to be HMU7L. So as we're waiting on the few other folks, I'm going to start with some kind of household things that you guys will be able to use and see. And it's okay also if you guys want to follow along just on my screen and not really engage as a student. That's perfectly fine. I like for you guys to engage as a student because it gives you guys the experience of like what your students would be experiencing with Nearpod. But if you would like to just see today how it would be as a teacher, looking at my screen would do that for you. So a couple of things. If we're looking at the top left of my teacher screen, you're going to see, of course, we always have this code here. So if students are coming in late to the lesson, or if you're looking to send this out, you can send it through email, social media, as a link, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, however you would like. At the bottom left, I have my screen that lets me know who's actively participating in a lesson. So right now I have Danielle Washburn, I have Leah, and I have Matt. And that list has those green lights by these names. If for whatever reason Danielle was to leave and come back, you would see that light go from green to red. So it kind of gives me a little bit of a gauge as a teacher who's actively participating. In the middle, I have my scrubber where I'm able to kind of move around my lesson if I needed to skip around at all. And then at the bottom right, I can toggle to show or hide student names during my lesson. And I can access this at any point during my lesson. So Nearpod, of course, I'm sure you guys, a lot of folks have got introduced to Nearpod in many different ways. Before COVID made it a must-have, it was just something that folks are using to increase student engagement, add in more informative assessment to online teaching with devices, flexing between in-person and distance learning. But, I think now with COVID, this has become something that's just like, a must-have, right? We're doing a lot of remote learning. There's a lot of asynchronous, synchronous learning happening. And how can we support you guys in doing so? I think Nearpod has a lot to offer, right? Part of it is our content. So I've been working with Danielle and getting a lot of you access to some of the paid features like our content. But we have over 8,000 lessons that are ready to teach and align to state standards. And also, you could still use what you have already, right? So if I have a bunch of lessons within Google Slides, I can use those and Nearpodize those, adding in, some formative assessment that might look like some Nearpod 3D. It might look like a virtual field trip. It may look like some open-ended questions. Whatever I want, I can add those into my lessons that I already have, or you can choose from some of the lessons that we have in our lesson library. This is also something I said that was used before COVID, when there was just devices in the classroom. This can be used for distance learning, or in kind of I think where a lot of folks are right now is that hybrid stage. And, it works with any of those different flexes. So definitely something that's compatible with, anything that you guys are doing and any device that you guys are using as well. So I created a small little short lesson because I know we don't have too much time today, and I wanted to leave some time for any questions. But this is a lesson on our solar system. And I'm going to ask you, my folks who are in the lesson, to engage with me on this collaborate board. So this is a collaborate board. I like to start my lessons with this. It's very low stakes, right? There's no right or wrong answer with this here. And this is just prompting me if I would like to approve students' posts before they go. So I'm going to click no, and I'm going to apply it for the rest of this lesson because I know I have some, responsible folks on here. So just want to engage my students, kind of get some crowdsourced info from them. I'm asking, what do you already know about the solar system? I'm going to join in as well. And like I said, I like this because there's no real, like stress on these answers, right? So there's controversy, right? So look, that's exactly what I would like to see as a teacher, right? I'm kind of putting a discussion out there, and students are going to build on top of it, right? Sometimes it's a question that's just, you're going to get just feedback directly from your students, but a lot of times I like to build a little bit of a discussion from these collaborative boards because I think it gives us a chance as a teacher to have all of our students engaged. And for some of those students who are a little bit less prone to answering out loud, this is perfect because on my screen you're seeing the names, but on your student screen you won't see any names on this activity. So it would look something a little bit more like this, but without the asterisks.
Oliver, it reminds me of one of Google's newest products with Jamboard. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that's what this looks like to me.
Yeah,
I know it's one of Matt's favorite new toys.
Yeah, definitely very, very similar to Jamboard, Padlet, if you're familiar with any of those two. But yeah, exactly, right? Just good way to just engage with your students. After we kind of start off the lesson and get a little bit of where we're going with this, I might want to take my students and immerse them into the concepts, right? I haven't put necessarily any text in front of them yet. So this could be a good chance for us to take a virtual field trip, right? We're talking about Pluto, Mars, all of this stuff. So why not, actually go to our solar system? So here's an actual immersive kind of, virtual reality of Mars, my VR, and move around. I may ask my students, what do they observe? Can anyone see Pluto? I know we were talking about Pluto. Are we able to see Pluto here? If there is something that you see, I saw Danielle mention the stars and planets. You see a star. The sun is, of course, a star. So maybe that's something that folks are pointing out. But this is just a good opportunity to continue to engage your students, right? If you noticed, I hadn't put any real text in front of my students yet. I'm just getting them excited about what we're learning. And I think, the Nearpod offers different activities that can help to do so.
Well, Oliver, that it's my favorite thing to talk about is the VR part of it, and super excited that you brought that up. It's really an awesome part of Nearpod, and Heather is watching right now and said that student engagement is everything, and to me there is nothing more engaging than VR and getting students involved with that.
Oh, 100%. And I actually had a little bit of a deeper dive with our VR content with Jack, and some of the things that I was able to show him is, our 350,000 different virtual field trips that your students can have access to through Nearpod. And these are just one of them, right? So there's, a huge library that you guys can choose from and add into any lesson that you want. So definitely, I think this is one of the most engaging activities that we have for sure. So now that, we're kind of getting a little bit more into a lesson, I might, actually get some real information here for my students. Now I'm asking, what do you think is closer to the Earth, the sun, or the moon? And you can see at the top left, I put a picture up of the sun and the moon. But what's really cool about this reference media at the top left is this can be anything from a picture, a video. It could be an audio of myself. I know now EdTech conferences are over, but there was, or at least now they're virtual. But last year when I was doing my tour of the EdTech conferences, the ISTEs and the KISTEs of the world, when teachers were at KISTE, in their Nearpod lessons, they were putting their own audio of themselves in this reference media. And I thought it was such a cool way to engage with your students when you're not in the actual classroom, where they're still able to hear your voice and feel like, man, this is like Mr. Oliver teaching, or this is Ms. Washburn still teaching. And that's just one of the things that you can do. And even on your guys' end, as students, you can do audio submissions as well. One cool thing we can do with these as well, if I love an answer from one of my students, I can go ahead and share this out. And on your screens as students, you're going to see that answer. And I think that's just super important because it allows us to elaborate a little bit more. I know I was one of those students who I would be tuned in, but sometimes maybe too tuned in. And when folks are answering questions, I might not hear like another student. So being able to just see what a good answer looks like, and this possibly, if this was the moon with a supporting reason why and an example from the text, like students will be able to see what a great answer looks like. And I think that gets missed sometimes when students are just answering aloud. All right, we're gonna take a few seconds to do a short quiz, and you guys can just play the lottery here. No reason to take it too serious, but just want you guys to feel what a quiz looks like. And I'll flip this so that you guys who aren't in the actual lesson can see what the quiz looks like as well. Just gonna give them a few seconds to maybe do this short quiz. So one of the great things about the quiz and any of the formative assessment that you're seeing is we're getting real-time assessment, right? So as we're going through the lesson, I'm able to see where my students' shortcomings are, where there might have been a lapse in communication and understanding, and I can flip the switch on the fly, right? So if I know so far I'm seeing number 3 is just something that we're not getting, we're not able to get number 3 right? And this, obviously you guys are just like guessing, so no hit at Matt and Danielle, but I'm seeing that our students aren't doing too well with number 3. First thing I might do is instantly share results with my students so they know how they're performing. But also, I can, at this top right, I can switch to student view, and we can literally go to question number 3 and walk through it together as a class, right? So I'm going all the way to question number 3. It's asking us, how long did it take Spirit an opportunity to travel to Mars? We can go answer by answer and break down, why did folks click A? Why did we hear C a lot? And maybe I'm even going back to the reference text and highlighting a little bit of where this answer really comes from, and just having that conversation with students in real time where, all of you guys who are teachers and are in the classroom know gets missed a lot, right? That it's such a fast-paced kind of thing, and the next day is a new lesson. And if my students didn't understand number 3, I didn't necessarily get a chance to even really hone in on that. So if I do even see from after the follow-up, looking at number 3, that there's still a little bit of a lack of understanding, I can even add an activity on the fly. Maybe I'm doing a true or false just to get a quick gauge, like, is the moon closer than than the sun. And the truth, I can share that out, and instantly I can get that feedback from you guys. You guys get an activity on your end, and I'm able to see and get it again. These are real gauges as to where my students' understanding is, or where is their understanding. You know, do we need to maybe go back? Do we need to take a little bit more time on this? And you know, that's what I think we ultimately would love to do as teachers, right? I call it like the highest level of instruction, but a lot of times it just gets missed, right? Just being honest with that. But I'm gonna pause right there and answer any questions that you guys may have, anything that you guys would like to highlight to my other folks who are on the call, and just take some time to give you guys some space to reflect, if anything.
Well, I was going to say real quick, Oliver, and Matt and Danielle can chime in as well, but we just read an article about, you know, what kids are going to be faced with when they come back, and it was kind of centered around whether or not you should immediately test, and kind of the consensus of the article was using something like Nearpod, you know, to do quick, easy, formative assessments so you're not inundating with kids with, you know, huge high-stakes testing.
Right.
So this is just perfect for what we were literally just talking about as a team.
Yeah, I actually just had a conversation. Danielle and I were talking on Monday, and about, like, you know, going back to school and what that looks like. And I said, you know, I wonder if Oliver knows of any districts that are using Nearpod for a hybrid model, because that would be a really great way for students to participate if they're in the classroom or they're at home and they're learning at the same time. And so I was really happy that you brought that up. But also, the question about the virtual reality stuff, if I have a 360-degree camera at home and I want to make a field trip for my students on my own, is it possible for me to upload those 360-degree pictures to Nearpod?
So you are there's a running number of the folks that would love to do that. And the amazing thing about Nearpod is it's built up enough buzz that is something that we're currently working on. Right now, it's always been kind of like we have enough in our own library to kind of, you know, do anything, right? Like there's a virtual reality field trip to a staircase, or, you know, a classroom. There's so many different field trips that we always thought that might not have been something that we needed to do, but the call has been taken definitely to our content team and our tech team and product team, really, and they're actually working on that. As we speak. I don't have an end date of when that might be rolling out, but if any of you guys are some big Nearpod fans, you guys know that we're constantly rolling out like new features and stuff. So definitely something I'll keep you guys updated with, but as of right now, not yet.
I appreciate the question, Matt, because I literally was working on something. I was working on a Nearpod deck last night and was trying to do that or something similar. So something else, Oliver, just keep in your back of your mind, like integrating Street View 360 content that's already out there, in addition to uploading a file that may be on somebody's computer. So that would be super helpful as well.
Yeah, that's in the works.
And Oliver, I was going to say, I guess I really didn't realize it, but the whole recording the audio piece, I think that is great because when I looked at it, it asked me to set permissions to record the audio. So I think that is a great feature to have in Nearpod as well.
Definitely, for sure. I think the student audio submissions for, you know, some of our students ends up being like a lifesaver, right? Even some of our folks who are first-time English learners, right? Like that's huge, right? Being able to put in audio submissions as a student, and even as a teacher, being able to have that within your lesson, I think goes a long way too. When we think about, you know, some of the student paced stuff, right? Like right now, this is a live lesson where I'm controlling your screens, but this could very well have been a lesson that I sent to you guys that's student paced, and you guys are going in at your own pace, your own time. This could be because of resources. Maybe I don't have a device until 6 o'clock at night, or it may be because, you know, I'm maybe struggling with this lesson and I need some more time. So I think that's where the audio submission, of course, relevant here still, but definitely has a little bit more of an impact as well. Any questions from anyone, or I'll give it a few seconds. I'm not really moderating the chat. Any questions that I need to answer? I'll give it a few more seconds, or if not, I can kind of go to how to navigate Nearpod a little bit more.
I think those are all the questions and feedback that you have, so we can continue to navigate. Okay,
cool. So I'm going to tab out of this lesson. And I know another question for some folks is just getting around Nearpod. So what I'm going to do is start with our lesson library. So those 8,000 lessons that I talked about are all right here. I like to call this kind of like the Netflix, if you will, for teachers, right? It's kind of super easy. If any of you guys have Netflix, they will show you like, because you watched like Breaking Bad, all that stuff, right? So it's like, this is kind of where you'll see all of those things, right? And if I'm a teacher in Kentucky, it's very simple for me to look for lessons. I can easily just click Kentucky, maybe looking at some math lessons, and I teach in the 5th grade. And if I even want to go to a specific strand, I can go as far as looking for generating 2 numerical patterns using 2 given rules. And I'm going to have a lesson that I can use and edit as well, right? Being able to deploy this lesson is as easy as just adding this to my library. And then if I click show in my library, it'll pop up and I can launch it live like we just did. Or, and it'll give me that code. Or I can even, do that student paste live with Zoom, whatever I want to do. Couple of things to note while you're here as well. These 3 dots here are going to be able to allow you to share it with teachers, duplicate that lesson, add that lesson to either a school or district library, or a specific folder that you might have in mind. You're also able to export every single lesson as a PDF in case you want to kind of take it to that pen and paper. You can look at reports for the specific lesson that you have in mind, or you can just completely delete the lesson. So those are a few things that I wanted to mention there. We also have our interactive video as well. So I know with the new hybrid model and kind of the uncertainty of where instruction is headed, none of us know anything anymore. But this is helpful with some kind of on-the-fly things, right? We got a bunch of feedback when COVID first hit that Nearpod's amazing. You guys have all this amazing content, but I just need something for like 5 minutes. I needed a little bit of a teaser. I need something for the asynchronous learning. And this was our answer. So we built something very similar to what Edpuzzle might offer you guys, but built in directly to Nearpod. So you have a bunch of lessons that are short, quick, have formative assessment, checks for understandings, and they're interactive videos. And you can also use videos from YouTube or videos from home. And that's something that you guys would have access to as well. And then also just to kind of walk it through this way, you have your videos here. You can search by lesson. This is going to give you all of your different subjects. You can look by publisher. These are going to have a lot of the kind of big names that you guys are familiar with working with. And I'm sure I might already use, but these are some of the lessons that we partnered with them to create some content. So just some notable ones that I know you guys probably might use already is Common Sense Media, Newsella, Lifelink, eFuture. All of these stuff I think are stuff that you guys might know already, but are just built into our lesson library. Lastly, we have some premium content. And this is something that I'm hoping to get into your guys' hands rather sooner than later, but this is going to cover everything from vocabulary to college and career exploration, digital citizenship and literacy, social and emotional learning, EL content, some teacher PD, and historical perspectives in literacy. And I think one of you guys mentioned earlier just how important it was that we have some of this stuff already in Nearpod. And I think that's the big thing with Nearpod, right? Like obviously we're all using, a bunch of ed tech resources. I think even with COVID hitting us, we're all were in like a reactionary state of like, what do we go to? What do we use? Videos were a big thing. YouTube was a big thing. We all were doing trials, trying to figure out what works best for ourselves and our students. And I think Nearpod does a really good job of being able to make all of those things that you want to use, all those instructional practices that you want to be able to implement in one place, so that your students aren't getting lost, your students are staying engaged. It's easier for you as a teacher for lesson planning, lesson creation, and it's just seamless, right? You want to take some of that time away from that. You're doing some of this lesson planning and make it easy, and be able to integrate kind of all of that into this one platform. So I think that's the goal with Nearpod. That's what we hope to be able to offer to you all. And that kind of wraps up a little bit of the Nearpod 101. I plan on joining this a little bit more, but we'd love to open the floor again for some questions in case anybody has any. And if not, maybe give you guys some time back.
Yeah, so I don't see any questions right now in the chat, but like Matt said, that Nearpod is our approved alternative for Edpuzzle, just in case those teachers are looking for something to replace Edpuzzle with, as well as we are super excited that Leah Stark, she is also excited to use Nearpod and implement with her students. So there's just a lot of excitement going in the chat right now.
For sure. Perfect. Well, if not, then if there's no further questions, please use me, guys. You guys know I'm here to work. Oh, and we got another little Nearpod guy right there. See him? Please use me as a resource. I'm super excited about Jefferson County. I think Nearpod is such a great solution that kind of connects with a lot of initiatives that you guys have in store. But yeah, please use me as a resource. I thank you guys for your time, and I know we'll be in touch. So
yeah, thanks so much, Oliver. We appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge, and showing us around Nearpod. We'll definitely, we're going to be in touch. So,
for sure. All right, you guys. We'll talk soon. Bye.
So if you are just joining us this afternoon, my name is Jack Bosley, and I work for the digital innovation team for JCPS, and we are really glad that you are tuning in this afternoon. Up next, for our next session, I'm really excited to hear from Jenna Cooper, who I think has just popped on to the hangout here. And Jenna is with Pear Deck. So Jenna, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself a little bit more formally. And
Sure, awesome. Is there a way for me to share my screen?
Yeah, if you look up at the 3 dots maybe in the top right, you see.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, you got it.
It just hides in a different place right now. So, all right, can you see my screen?
I can, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And well, I guess, go ahead.
Jenna, when you present, you should be able to do closed captioning as well with slides. Do you know how to?
Okay. I'm actually not going to be using Google Slides itself because I'm actually going to use a Pear Deck. So,
sure. No worries.
If that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is we're just glad to have you on and learn from you. So whatever you got.
I am super excited to be here. I've been working with a lot of your schools. I actually just talked to Mazik Middle School, who's going to be using Pear Deck and setting up their training. And we're really excited to just be a part of supporting you. So I guess that's the first thing I want to say is thank you for everything you're doing for your students. At Pear Deck, we're just hoping to be something that takes a little stress off your plate and helps you to connect with your students in different ways. So please let me know if you have questions throughout here. I don't see a chat, so I guess housekeeping wise, I'll make sure that there's somebody watching for questions and things like that too. That'd be great. Awesome. Let me know if they have any questions. Fabulous. Just a little background of me. I spent my last couple years as a high school technology coordinator. Before that, I was a blended and personalized learning consultant for about 40 districts across the Midwest. And way long time ago, I used to be a music teacher in another life. So I've been around the horn a few times in education. My husband's a high school principal and my own children are in kindergarten and first grade. Super passionate about educating our students and being able to engage with them, even in this crazy environment that we are in. So just really excited to be here. We're going to do kind of a shortened version of a normal 60-minute training. We're going to learn how to build a Pear Deck lesson in less than 5 minutes. The wonderful thing about Pear Deck is that it works with what you're already using. So if you have Google Slides, you know how to use Google Slides, you've used the same Google Slides with your students 20 times, you can now take those existing slides and make them interactive, which is really nice. You don't have to recreate the wheel, you don't have to invent new things, and you can share everything that you already have that's existing with each other too. So then we're going to explore the student and teacher views. So I'm hoping that this live session, you're going to be able to open another tab and join me as a student in the Pear Deck lesson. So I'm hoping we'll have some of you that go ahead and do that. I'll explain how to do that here in a little bit. And then at the end, we'll do any questions that you might have. I'll try and leave about 5 minutes. So a real quick intro, you'll notice that I'm in the familiar environment of Google Slides, and all I have to do to open the Pear Deck add-on is go to add-ons, Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and open the Pear Deck add-on. You will notice that the add-on is going to open right here within my Google Slides. So I don't have to open another program. I don't have to go to another website. I can literally do everything I need to do right within a familiar environment, which is awesome. A lot of our schools at JCPS that have purchased Pear Deck for their teachers have Pear Deck right in the menu bar, which is awesome because you can just click on that and open it up that way as well. The second step to creating an interactive lesson is to actually add either interactive slides from our library or create custom slides with things, like I said, that you're already using. So the first step is to add a template. So pretend this is your science lesson or your social studies lesson or something like that you already have, that you've used with your class 100 times, and you say, I want to add a bell ringer or a warm-up. In our template library, we have templates built for all beginning, during, end of the lesson, critical thinking, that social emotional learning piece that is so important to be able to connect with your students outside of just the education piece. How do we get them feeling like a sense of belonging, of checking in on them and how they're feeling? We have Pear Deck for littles. So if you're a kindergarten, first or second grade teacher that says, I can't use technology with my kiddos, they're too little, wrong. They are perfect for this. Math, science, social studies, world languages, ELA. My husband's a high school principal. He uses Pear Deck for staff meetings. My kid's kindergarten teacher uses it for asynchronous learning. We have templates for library media specialists, for related arts. So if you're here and you're music, art, PE, drama, we have a whole set of templates and a webinar that's recorded specifically for you. So really, we look at Pear Deck as a holistic use all across a building. So back to those templates, let's say I've seen the power of Pear Deck. I just want to add one little thing, like a baby step to getting into technology and using it with my students. So I'm just going to add a bell ringer or a warm up. So if I do that, all I'm going to do is click on what do you wonder about the today's topic template. Okay, so I'm in my existing presentation. I want to just throw this in there as a little baby step to get started. For all you happy clickers out there, it's one click, and then it will drop right into your presentation like this. Now you can edit it as if you created it from scratch. So I can actually say, what do you wonder about Pear Deck? Okay. Or if you have your own Bitmojis, I don't know how many of you have your own Bitmojis, but you can actually delete that guy, put your own Bitmoji in, and now you have a completely customized slide to you and your class within about 10 seconds. It might take me 20 minutes to figure out how to put the pretty cloud with the blue background in there. So that's how you use any of our templates. They're really built with extended depth of knowledge. So level 1 depth of knowledge, level 2, 3, 4, different ways that you can use that, and then completely customize those questions for your class. I'm not sure how many of you have existing Google Slides. I can't see it, but type a yes in the chat if you have existing Google Slides that you've used before. And hopefully we get a lot of answers in there. So I want you to imagine you're in your class with your students. You have a slide that you've projected up on the whiteboard, and you call one student up to the board to circle their answer, right? Whether that be the part of a cell or demonstrating their work for a math problem, right? You got the answer from that one kiddo. Well, now we are asking every student to engage with every question, not just waiting on the kid at the front of the room to raise their hand. And in remote learning, that's pretty much impossible. But this was built for in-classroom student engagement. It's not just about remote learning. You can use this when you go back to normal, whatever that looks like. So let's say this is that map of the United States, or that tree that I want them to circle the part of, or the cell and I want them to circle the nucleus. Over here are our different custom options for slides. So we have open-ended response, multiple choice, number slides, website slides, drawing, and draggable. Okay, so you can change any slide you have into any of those types of slides. So if this one is just a blank one and I want my students to circle agree if they agree or disagree if they disagree, all I want to do is click on draw, right? I just want them to circle that answer. Click on draw, wait for about 10 seconds for Perry to do his little dance. And boom, guys, this is now a drawing slide. I just took this existing slide I've had forever and turned it into a drawing slide with one click of a button. And you'll get to see what that looks like here in just a couple minutes. The last little demo part I want to do of how to create one is adding audio. So I'm not sure how many of you have tried to add audio to slides. It is a complicated process, let me tell you. So we have added this. If you're doing asynchronous lessons, how important is it for your students to be able to hear your directions? If you're teaching littles, giving them directions or reading the slide out loud. If you're a science teacher, how to do this experiment without blowing up your kitchen, right? But if they're not there with you, you can't give them that. So if you click add audio, if you're a music teacher, you can upload an existing file. If you're, a social studies teacher doing Martin Luther King's speech, you could upload that so they can listen to it on their own or have it for reference, or you can record directions. So I can say, hey guys, you're doing a great job so far. On the next 7 slides, I want you to answer each of them completely, and you can stop at the stop sign. You're doing a great job. I'm super proud of you. Keep up the great work. A little bit of encouragement. They hear my teacher's voice. Save and add audio to the slide. And give it about a second. And this is now your visual cue that there is audio included on this slide. Now you can make it bigger, smaller, move it around any way that you want to. And so if you teach like middle school and they're obnoxious, they're obviously, they're oblivious to everything, you could make it obnoxiously obvious that there's audio on there. So whatever you want to do to make it kind of fun for them. Guys, that's it. That's how you create that lesson with what you already have. Open any Google Slides presentation. And by the way, if you add interactivity to this and then share it with a teammate, all they have to do is create their own code to have their class start, and all of it will be there. I don't know about you all, but I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So, when you go to start your lesson now, I'm sure that all of you have been through this process in Google Classroom of creating your slides, embedding the images in the background, assigning it and making a copy for every student, and then coming back and seeing that you screwed something up anyway and there's stuff dragged all over your slides, right? If you've been through that process, like raise your hand or say a yes in the chat, all right? Some of you are saying yes in the background, okay? So no more. You don't have to do that anymore. We literally have these pictures with these text and interactive pieces. Now all I have to do is click this green Start Lesson button. Okay, green Start Lesson button. When you click that, the way you know you did this correctly, it's going to ask you, do you want to run an asynchronous lesson or do you want to run an instructor-paced activity? For today's intents and purposes, I'm going to run an instructor-paced activity, okay? I'm going to run this session by session, slide by slide with you all. So if you are listening, if you are watching, here's what I want you to do. I don't know, do I have the ability to paste something in the chat there? If I do, I will paste this link.
Jen,
if you're in the Hangout, you can just open a second tab, or you can put your screens side by side like this. You could have our Google Meet screen, our Google Hangout here, and a second window here. And you can go to joinpd.com and enter this 6-letter code, MFCSUE. And I think what I normally do is if I have my students joining live, I click on this little give students a link button. Okay, I copy the link here, give students the link, and I copy that to my clipboard. And then I paste it in the Google Meet Hangout or chat or whatever. So I'm going to see if this works to send this link in the chat. So if you want to click on that link in the chat or go to joinpd.com and joinpd.com and enter that code, that would be amazing if anybody's here.
We've got a few viewers watching, Jenna. I put it in the main, the main chat for the YouTube live. So we'll see if we get anybody. But
all right, awesome.
Yep.
So if you're live, you can go to joinpd.com and enter this 6-letter code. If not, I've joined as a student, so I can certainly demonstrate what this will look like for you. So, whoops. All right. So that's what it looks like when you join. And this is, I'm going to hide this little screen over here for just a minute. So once you have your students join, you can see that you have all of your different students here. You can see how many you have to connect. So if I have 20 students in my class, I can say, hey, I need 10 more of you to connect or something like that. So then when you're ready, you can continue your lesson. Now, students can join 3 ways. You can invite them directly to your class. You can give them a link in Google Classroom or in your chat, or they can go to joinpd.com and enter this code. So any which way that they want to, they can join. And so the first question is, what do you wonder about Pear Deck? What do you wonder about Pear Deck? So if I go continue, I can see all of my students answers coming in live and in real time. So I can say, all right, how does Pear Deck help engage students? Maybe you wonder how it got its name, which I oftentimes see coming in. But you can see that the answers are anonymous. So the answers are completely anonymous. So if you have students who have questions, nobody knows who says what. So if I have 20 different students answering, they're going to see all of the anonymous answers in here at the same time. So that's a really great way to be able to see literally live and in real time what is happening. My next question might be a multiple choice. How much do you know about Pear Deck? Now, this is what it looks like on the student screen. They can see if they know nothing, know what it is. Personally, I use it and love it. But you can see all of the answers coming in as a polling system. So again, this is the student screen. This is what the student view looks like. And when I go to show these responses, I can see that they use it and love it. I have one answer. Now, this is also a great formative assessment tool. If I have all my students answer D and A, B, and C are all the only correct responses, I got to reteach this to my class. I got to be able to show them how this works because they didn't give me the right responses as a group. So this is a great way to do that. So there are 3 views of Pear Deck, all right? There are 3 views of Pear Deck. There's the student view, and you guys saw that, right? Where the student can answer the questions, all right? There is the teacher view, or the classroom view, where all of the answers are showing up completely anonymously. Nobody can see who said what. And then there's this secret screen that the teacher gets to hold. In the physical classroom, you can have that held in your hand. You could have it on an iPad or a cell phone or something like that, or just a separate window. And that teacher dashboard looks like this. I can see every single student and how they answered. And I can hover over and see who answered what. So I can see Gina uses it and love it. I could see how many other kids I had in my class to be able to see all of their responses. Isn't that great? Now, if we look at the individual responses, I also have on my projector screen that I'm showing to kids. So this is my Google Meet screen that I'm sharing only this tab with them, or it's my Zoom screen. I'm only sharing this tab with them. They can see each other's answers all at the same time, right? But I, as the teacher on my super secret teacher screen, I have 5 things under every response that nobody else has. And that is your smiley face. So at the beginning of the lesson, it says, how are you feeling today? This gives you a little bit of social emotional insight into your students' learning. It gives you their name. So this is the only program I have ever seen that allows you to see every student's name and their response coming in live and in real time. We have a star, a chat box, and 3 dots. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull these screens together so that you can see how all 3 of them work together. So you never have to have this many screens, so don't freak out on me, okay? You never have to have quite this many available to you. All right. So the 3 different views of Pear Deck. This one is your teacher superpower screen. All right. That's what I like to call it. The teacher superpower. So this is how all of your students' answers are coming in with their names associated with them. This is your classroom view. This is the only screen that your classroom can see. And this is what your students have in front of them. Okay, so I can see their answers coming in live and in real time. Now, this is a little harder to show with only one answer in here, but if I decide I don't want to show the responses to the rest of the class yet, but I star Gina's answer, hers is the only one that will show up. Okay, so if I star that answer, hers is the only one that will show up. If Gina has said something inappropriate about a classmate, or has said this class stinks or something inappropriate like that, I can actually click on the 3 dots and hide her response. And then watch, if I go to show them, all my other classes' responses are going to show up except for hers. So this is an awesome way to be able to kind of hide and show responses as you need. Now, you still have access to Gina's answer. So once your students figure out that these are the proverbial eyes in the back of your head, they will not mess with you anymore, I promise. So you can take a screenshot of this, send it if you need to, something like that.
That's fantastic. I love that feature that the teacher has that level of control over that.
Absolutely. So really, really great way to take the attention away from distracting the class and more about, engaging in the content. And so that's a really great way to kind of smash their hopes and dreams of distracting their classmates. So then the other piece, and this is one of my absolute favorites, is this little chat bubble. How many of you have been told that you need to give immediate feedback to students? And do you have a way to actually give immediate feedback to students? So check this out. What I can do, I'm going to go ahead and hide these responses, and I'm going to leave Gina some feedback. So maybe I see that she needs to check step 3 of her equation. Maybe I see that she needs to expand on that idea. My ELA people in the house, right? How many of you have to ask them to expand on that idea? Maybe I just want to say, great job. But I want to say, can you expand on that question? Okay. So just pretend. Now watch my student screen. This is Gina's screen that she has in front of her. Watch what happens when I click send feedback. Boom. Did you guys see that? It pops up with this little chat box that says, you now have feedback. So check this out. When I click on this, it's going to show me what my teacher asked me to do. I can mark that I read it and my teacher gets that notification. And then I can fix my answer. Now, as the teacher, once I cross out of that, I can see this grade box that I left Gina feedback, and I can see all of her expanded responses all in one place. Isn't that amazing? Super helpful way to be able to engage with your students on a regular basis. And be able to leave them feedback. Now, you can leave them feedback in asynchronous mode. Some of you are thinking, like, in a live session, I do not have time to leave feedback for every single kiddo. No, but you could redirect a couple of struggling ones. Absolutely a great way to do that. So the last thing I want to show you here in the teacher dashboard is something very exciting, brand new that we just added 2 weeks ago. Okay. If you see in the teacher dashboard up here is your class roster. So I can see every student that's in my class. So if you have somebody who joined who shouldn't be there, you can actually click on the 3 dots and block them from the session. But the exciting part is this. Do you guys see this teacher tab? I'm not sure how many of you have intervention specialists or co-teachers or team teach classes. You can now invite a co-teacher. Yes, you can invite a co-teacher. All you have to do is click invite co-teacher, copy this link and send it to your co-teacher. They can now join in this dashboard, the teacher superpower screen at the same time as you. So you can toss it over to them and have them control the slides for a few. You could have them watch their specific group of students for responses and give them things. You could have them giving feedback while you're teaching and then switch places. So it's awesome. You could have for student teachers, this is a great feature, co-teachers, team teaching, just a really spectacular way for you guys to be able to work all completely together. So that's a little bit about the co-teacher screen and how that works, which is really, really, really exciting. All right, I'm going to minimize this, and I just want to show you just a couple of other little things with Pear Deck. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the teacher screen or the student screen and the projector screen up here. Let me open one of my other dashboards just to be able to show you what this looks like from a larger point of view. So bear with me for just a second while I open this up because I want you to be able to see what this looks like. Our computers are always just as fast as we want them to be, aren't they?
Yeah, Jenna, I will just say, outside of the Pear Deck stuff, I'm amazed at your ability to switch screens and tabs. So kudos to you because I do this a lot as well, and the flow is pretty amazing to switch between teacher, student, and the projector view. So
I have a lot of practice. I was a customer of Pear Deck for 5 years before I used it, before I worked for them. So, I've got a lot of practice. And when you've done this presentation about 1 million times, you get kind of used to it. So takes practice, but you can get there. So what I want to show you is this is a session that I actually just did this morning. And I want to be able to show this to you from the teacher side. So check out this teacher dashboard. One thing I want to point out is that you can go back and forth with Pear Deck. This is another thing that is just amazing. You can go back and forth with Pear Deck between teacher and student paced mode. So there are 3 views of Pear Deck, right? We talked about the student view, the teacher dashboard view, and then when you're doing a live session, you just throw in that projector view where everybody's answers are anonymous. There are 3 ways to use Pear Deck. You can do it in instructor paced, like I've been doing now, where I'm taking you through slide by slide by slide. You can also just assign it completely in asynchronous student paced mode, right? They're going to have your audio. You can embed video. They can have all those resources, but you can also toggle between the 2. So I could click on the 3 dots here. I could reopen this session and I could turn it into student paced mode. Okay. So let's say I'm doing new content for my students, right? I'm introducing new content with formative checks all along the way. And then I want them to go work independently or in small groups for a little bit. Again, for in classroom, not just remote learning. Okay, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I want you to use the restroom if you need to and answer the next 3 slides so that we can review them when you come back. Let's take 5 minutes. Turn on student paced mode and it's going to give you a warning and say, look out, you're letting them loose. And you say, okay, in student paced mode, you can see every single student and where they are at on the screens. So if I have 25 of my students down here on the last 2 slides and 2 of them are struggling, I can go check in with Kathy and Gary right away to see what's going on and if they need help. Isn't that awesome? So even in asynchronous mode, you can see what's going on. If you are ready for them to come back to you, all you have to do is click on Stop Student Paced Mode and their screen snap right back to the screen that you're on. But check this out. I know this is a kindergarten. It says circle the items that begin with the B sound or the letter B. 100% of my class got this right. I can see that in an instant. I have this set up as an overlay. Now, if I need to go check every individual, I can split this out into individual screens. I can see which students haven't answered. I can literally still see this coming in live and in real time. If that's too small for you, you can actually turn this into a list view and scroll through every student's screen individually like this. Now, maybe this one I say to Austin, I say, hey, great job. You missed one. Can you find the other item? But in general, if I'm looking at this in an overlay, there were 50 students in this class. How long would it take you to collect this in Google Slides from 50 students or into Google Classroom? Forever, right? But now I can see all of their answers coming in live and in real time. I can see 100% of my class got this. I don't even need to check individual responses. We're moving on. I don't have to do the next 4 review slides. Same thing with something like this. I can go, okay, well, half my class got this wrong. I'm going to need to reteach this concept. Again, I don't even need to know individual responses. I know that half my class doesn't understand this, so it warrants a review. So that's a really good way to check in with your students as well. Math slides, we can laugh at ourselves as a class, right? Rather than getting a worksheet back with a big red X on it that says you got that wrong, as a class, we can laugh at ourselves as a whole. Like somebody else drew a question mark, somebody wrote help, and most of my class doesn't understand this. So, okay, that's my bad. Let's go back and review. Or if you're doing geography, this is a great way. If you aren't clicked on this, you can put up to 5 draggables on one slide. And so this is a great way to get that instant feedback of how everybody's doing. And if you click on the icons, you can parcel them out to kind of get a good idea of where you're at. And then you can hover over to see the 2 students that didn't get it right and check in with them. Now I know I need to go to them for small group instruction. The last little piece here I want to show is imagine you gave this worksheet out to your class, right? Or gave it to every individual student in Google Drive or Google Classroom. I assigned this to them. This is a group of adults that I trained just this morning, right? And this is their answers. When I get my worksheet back and I say, wrong, 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 what does that do for me? It tells me where I was wrong. But in this case, I would have a discussion with my classes, right? I'm going to have a huge discussion with my classes and I'm going to say, okay, somebody read that first sentence to me. The loon dove underwater. Some of you circled dove. Is dove a noun? No. What is dove? A verb. Why did you circle it? Oh, you just looked at the word and thought it was a dove. You're not the only one. 3, 4, 5 people did that. What a great classroom discussion of how important it is to read your sentences as a whole and dive deep into that information. Same thing with we. Is we a noun? No, it's a pronoun. Well, is a pronoun a noun? And my kids are going to remember that a whole lot more than they're going to remember that worksheet that they got back with the marks on it. So this is a great way to foster that engagement and that student engagement, peer-to-peer collaboration. We're working really hard with how do we fit into that backpack? Think about how all of these things we've talked about fit into your social emotional learning pieces of preparing kids for the future of that collaborative learning. Just a really great way to be able to reach students and also make your lives a little bit easier, right? Takes a little time to turn those slides interactive, but on the back end, being able to see everything all in one place, literally in real time, your students don't even hit submit. You see them as soon as they write them. They're good to go. The last thing I'll show you is that at the end of a lesson, you can click on end. You can name this class. So maybe I want to say that this is ELA period 3 and it's grammar. Unit 1. Okay, you can name this by title, whatever. At the end, you can actually publish the student takeaways. So I can save and end this session, and this is going to send a copy of all of these slides to my students with their answers on them and the teacher feedback. So they have something to reference back to. It's not just something that they saw and they forget about and they never get to go back to again. So with that, I'm going to stop because I know I'm close to time, but I want to know if there's any questions, comments, things like that. I'm going to put my email up here. Schools, teachers can reach out to me if they have questions, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Jenna, thanks so much. It has been pretty quiet on the chat. I will attribute that to your excellent presenting skills. So no questions that I'm seeing right now, but I do appreciate your energy. I've been a big fan of Pear Deck for a long time, and love, first of all, how it integrates already with Google Slides, because we're such a huge Google district in JCPS. The engagement level with kids is off the charts, and like you pointed out, that immediate feedback has always been important and will be super important as we go back for teachers to help, with the acceleration of learning and filling in the gaps. So just appreciate your being here and sharing all that.
Sure, absolutely. If anybody needs anything, feel free to reach out. That's my Twitter and my email, and just super excited to have lots of schools coming on board with Pear Deck, and just excited to support your whole staff. So, and thanks for all you guys are doing with the digital learning channel and just making learning great for your teachers and your students.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Jenna, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye everybody.
So,
hey, Jack.
Hey, Matt. Glad to see you, and I assume that's Jacob there. I couldn't. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Well, I'm glad.
Hi.
Hey, Jacob. Glad that you guys are joining us. I think this is our last session for the Learning Channel today. I'm really excited about this topic. I know you are, Matt, and clearly Jacob is as well. So we're going to be talking about the esports team at DuPont Manual. I don't know if you want to say anything else before we turn it over to Jacob, Matt, but feel free.
Yeah, so looking at the chat, it looks like we have some manual students in there already with us. So I'm just super, super happy to have Coach Jury with us here today. Reached out to him, I think it was almost a year before they won the state title, that we got him going and got a program started at Manual, and he's just taken and run with it. What do you have, like 6 teams between Rocket League and League of Legends, Jacob?
That's right, yeah.
So super excited to have him here. He's going to connect with his kids via Discord when he kind of shares his screen with us, and he and his students are just going to talk about what esports has meant to them and kind of what this program is and the greatness about it. So for everybody who doesn't know, League of Legends, the state championship, Jacob's team just won that a couple weeks ago. So they knocked off Lafayette High School, who was the 2-time reigning champion. And then they actually almost had a chance to win 2 championships in one day. They went to a really close Game 7 against Shelby County in Rocket League. I think they've been 3-time state champs now. Shelby County has. So,
Yeah.
But Coach, I've talked enough, so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, great. Yeah, let me share my screen here so y'all can see. Y'all see what I'm looking at?
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so I'm curious how this is going to work with. Let's see. Can I get some players to introduce themselves? So we got Franklin. Franklin, what do you play?
Hi, my name's Franklin. I play League of Legends for the state team. I'm the starting ADC.
And Henry? Henry, are you there? Oh, maybe. Sorry, can you all hear my players?
I play.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I play Rocket League for the team on the regional team.
Right, and sorry, I should have prepped you all a little bit more. So if you could say your grade as well.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm. So Henry is a freshman and Franklin is a senior, and then we've got Joe as well.
Yes, I am a junior and I play Rocket League on the state team.
And then Nathan.
Yeah, I'm a freshman and I'm also on the Rocket League state team.
And then Jackson.
I'm a senior and I'm not actually a player, but I cast the streams for the League of Legends state team.
Awesome. Yeah, so we've got a few people there. If you can see over here on the right, we've got quite a large server that we've organized here. So it's a pretty exciting platform to use. But right, the main thing that I wanted to chat with them about was sort of how they perceived the season, how it all went towards the end there. And we'll start off with Rocket League, and then kind of in the middle, we'll talk about how the sports and the esports in Kentucky have sort of headed off in certain directions, because you see the development of like Madden and FIFA, and then like what about the other video games that are mentioned there. So I guess we'll start off with Rocket League with Henry, Joe, and Nathan. And unfortunately, we can get more League of Legends players here, but we'll start off with you guys. What did you all think about the season as a whole? Like, what are your just general thoughts?
I would say I was really surprised with how well the season went. Last year, being in school every day after, not every day, being in school all together playing, I thought it would be really hard to replicate that at home. But we did it pretty well, and I was surprised with how well it went.
Yeah, me too, because this was the first time I've like gone into like a competitive like video gaming environment, and especially having to do it like online where it'd normally be held in person, so I didn't really know what to expect from coming in.
And I guess I'll interject. I was on the regional team, and the season went perfectly and completely fine. I don't really have anything else to compare it to because I've never really done team esports, and this is my first year on the esports team. So, with no general frame of reference, I guess I would just have to say it was perfectly and completely fine. And I have no idea if it was bad and no idea if it was good in comparison to other things.
Sure. Right. The season was, I mean, from where we were last season with Rocket League, I mean, I think we struggled to find 3 or 4 people to play, and then here we are, and we've got, if I can look at the Rocket League bunch right here, we've got, I don't know, was that like 12 players right there who are just really into it, and a lot of them are freshmen. So Henry and Nathan are in some good company. Now, what do you all think? What do you think the future holds for you and Rocket League? Like, what would you like to see? Obviously, we want to win some like state championships, of course. But what do you all think about playing in college or extending Rocket League into other areas of maybe mainstream entertainment?
I'm really excited about playing in college and maybe getting scholarships and doing that kind of stuff, because last year we had Tyler, who was really, really good at Rocket League, and decided to play League instead because he was having more fun with that at the time. But then he went to Louisville, and he's playing on their Rocket League team now and is, I believe, state captain, something like that. He's got a leadership position there. And that would be awesome to be able to play like as a sport the same way I do soccer and stuff. And that's what I'm really hoping to do. That's what I'm looking forward to.
For sure.
Yeah, me too. I do want to progress here and win state championship titles and just perform well all the way up until I do leave for college. And if I got an opportunity or scholarship to play in college, I would 100% take it. And then beyond that, if that went well and I somehow managed to get a chance to play professionally, I would also 100% take that chance as well.
Yeah. Now, before Henry goes, is this something you all saw yourself like wanting before you came to play esports, like to play at like a college level? What do you think, Henry?
I'm not the greatest person to ask about this because I'm probably going to continue to play Rocket League for high school, but I am not mainly a Rocket League player. I only decided to play Rocket League for esports because I wanted to play esports, and Rocket League was the only, and I don't know how to play League of Legends, so I just decided to play Rocket League because I had experience. Yeah. Pretty fun.
So, I guess that's kind of a good segue and this, everybody can comment here. What do you sort of see, and we'll start off with Henry, where do you see esports headed, if it's like at a county level or at like a state level, with like other games coming into play, or even League of Legends and Rocket League? How do you see that like at a state level developing? And Henry, I'll let you have the first comment there, since I know you're really into Smash.
Yeah, Smash. It's already its own independent esport. So what needs to happen is people need to start recognizing it as an actual esport because it's a great game. But in all seriousness, it will probably develop mostly. Already, a lot of colleges do have Smash clubs and Smashing. So I think if Smash can ever become more organized, it might happen. But both the parent company who made Smash does not really support the scene. So it's probably never going to develop into an actual esport. It's probably always just going to stay a fringe thing that a lot of people enjoy, but there's never going to be any real support for it.
So, Coach, I have a question. Would you all be interested in beginning the formation of an in-county Smash League? I mean, we have 28 high schools here. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's something that I've always thought would be great because, that's what, that's the go-to party game that even I would play. So, for me, it's a question of organization since there's so many of us already into RL and League. But yeah, I know students and other like Henry and other kids would love it. It would be another way to put more organization to what is already something great. And what I've found, which I don't know if my players have experienced this as well, but where they had been playing these games with their friends, they're now getting a lot of recognition for it. And if you can get that, then why shouldn't we be able to provide something like that for these students who are already so good at the games? So I fully support that.
Yeah. However, I just.
Yeah. Anybody else in this bunch got anything to say about other games being added, or the future of esports in Kentucky?
I guess I'll say I've seen a lot of demand for games like CS:GO, and I have seen a little bit for Fortnite, but not nearly as much. And it's kind of a shame they can't add those for obvious reasons.
Right. There seems to be a lot of money in Fortnite from what I've been following through Play Versus, which comes in the form of scholarships for you guys at the collegiate level as well. So, that's something you'd like to see get normalized in one way. And then there's also a very real aspect of how does that, how do you deal with first-person shooters at a public school level? And in some ways you can't really. So so that's difficult.
I would say that's probably like the hardest struggle with esports is balancing like what is appropriate, what's inappropriate for a school setting, you know?
Right.
Yeah, outside of like the organization and stuff like that as well. But
yeah, I mean, these are the conversations that need to be had on like a public level is like, where do esports fit with everything else? Like, if, I don't know, if first person shooters can be like, if it's something that everyone does, then how does that work at a clean and appropriate level? So, right, yeah. We'll go ahead and move on to.
Coach, I actually I had a question for your players. Circling back to the question about the future. I know we kind of talked about like their future as competitors, but like how do they see themselves? Or would they consider like a career in esports as like a broadcaster or somebody who does like event management or brand marketing or something like that? Have you guys ever thought about branching into those areas of esports as well? Because we know esports is more than just like one facet of competition, right?
I couldn't really hear the entire thing, but I'm assuming he asked about like other branches of esports.
Yeah. And so not just being a player, but what about in tournament organization or I know Joe, for example, like, I mean, you're saying this is bigger as well. Like this could include STEM fields because we've got. I mean, you can talk about your job. Go ahead.
I help stream all our games and stuff on Twitch, and
I've definitely learned a lot from Joe.
Yeah, that was big this year. We did a lot of that, and that's definitely something I could see myself doing with the world famous World Championship Rocket League RLCS competition. That's something that they have to do for that, so you could do it there. I was actually going to talk about like being a team manager or doing something like that, finding players and being involved with building teams and getting them into competitions that they deserve to be in is another thing you could do that I have considered before.
And I guess this is also applicable to me. We can get more when we talk about League of Legends, but I've also considered, in college, trying to continue in casting and all that. I find it like a lot of fun, even though I honestly don't really like League of Legends. I don't like to play the game, but I do love casting it.
Yeah, casters have a really hard job. I was looking into it the other day, and they've got the headphones on, and they've got to do play-by-play, and also manage the voice in the ear telling them, like, oh, we've got a technical issue, pause the game, and somehow focus on both the game that's happening in front of you and everything behind the scenes, which would be a huge challenge. That requires just as much, if not the same amount of talent as actually playing the game.
Matt, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, so one of the things I always see on LinkedIn for esports, Riot Games is always in need of accountants. So, and with that, because it's Riot Games, like they still give you unlimited time off. They give you time to play games at work, so that way you can like improve your life as a gamer and stuff like that. So keep being on the lookout for those kinds of jobs with companies, because everybody they need marketers, they need accountants, they need business managers and communicators and things like that. So
yeah, definitely. Franklin, you have anything to say on like how your perception of how the future of esports is going?
I think esports has a pretty bright future. It's like a continuously growing field. I don't know how much of a part I'll be of it in the future, because
I mean, you're a senior, right? So you've had esports sort of. I mean, it just came up your junior year, and I'm sure you were already looking at colleges. So, is there anything you think you could see yourself doing with esports in the future?
I mean, I would love to like do what we're doing now at Manual, like go to college and like play on like a college team. But I don't know if I'm personally good enough to like compete at a collegiate level, because like
Sure.
I would say Kentucky is not the most competitive esports state. So like if I went somewhere out of state, I don't know how I would like compare to the players there.
Do you think you could be a coach somewhere?
Probably not. I don't think I know enough about the game, but like I think coaching is a super underrated job within esports. Just why they get paid like a lot, because they really need to do a lot of game analysis and like you know take really good care of their players to make sure their mentals are up during the game. And like having a bad coach really impacts the players just like it would in a traditional sport.
Definitely. Yeah. Right. So speaking to that, did you find I guess we'll transition a little bit here. Like on the League of Legends state championship team, like how did you see the roles of each player develop? Because League is nothing against Rocket League, but League is just so dynamic with the prep you can do beforehand. Rocket League is kind of like you show up and like we hope you got good reflexes today and you've had enough experiences. But what sort of roles did you see develop as the season went on?
Oh yeah, well I mean at the beginning of the year, so like our state team was like all seniors, and then Andy, who was a sophomore. Like all the seniors have been playing together since like 8th grade. We've been playing together for like a while now. We had to integrate Andy into the team, which was like not the most challenging, but like it was definitely new to like have to play with someone new who we didn't normally play with. And like as seniors, we've been playing together a lot. We have like big egos, so we always had like clash in like calls in games. Like I think throughout the season, you would like see like each individual person like giving some space to the team and like kind of setting aside their like personal selfish goals in the game to like play more towards the team, which is I think one of the biggest contributing factors to our win against Lafayette in the finals was we really played together as a team instead of like our own individual game plans.
Yeah, definitely. I know if Will and a couple of the captains could have been here, I'm sure they'd say similar things. And that was something interesting is we had from what I could tell, like I would definitely let you all just go and plan what you wanted to, and then like it was executed. So I know it was like I believe you all had a document you'd share around each other. Just what do you think about this game plan? And did you lead that up, or was that just sort of a team thing that you all would do?
I would say that was primarily Will, or mid laner. He would like look at the teams, but like we'd get into call every single match like 10 minutes before and just look at the enemy teams, look at the champions they play, and then like we'd always figure out our drafts. And I don't think we had like a single like terrible draft in the entire season. We would definitely plan and like prepare for every single game. We discuss it and like come up with a ban phase that like every single player was happy with, and like we just kind of agreed on like our draft and like our gameplay going into a game, which is always good to like just start the game off on the right foot.
Definitely.
So, Coach, what does practice look like for your League of Legends team then? Like, are you very involved? Is it very focused on specific skills, or is it more like, hey, everybody jump into comp and let's play a game of flex? What does it look like for you guys?
No, so since I know my team is productive in the late hours of the night, I'm able to hand it off, and that's kind of why I organized it the way I did with captains, because I know that Roshan and Aiden were just some of the best organizers, and I think really anyone on the team is capable of that role. But it was nice to assign those responsibilities to some players so that they could organize those practices, and they would sort of take care of those on their own. And then every once in a while, Will would report to me sort of what he was experiencing, whether it was with comms or I really didn't have much to critique with their gameplay, because like Franklin was saying, they've been playing since 8th grade. That's not my main game, so they were they were definitely the most critical people to themselves, which was really amazing. And we don't really get this representation in this group of players right here, but we had a region team for League of Legends that got top 8. And I'm Franklin, maybe you want to speak a little bit more on that. How would that involvement with them sort of lead to more practice situations?
Yeah, so we had our state team, and then we also had 2 regional teams, and regional 1 and regional 2. And so the regional 1 team, honestly, like, they were like pretty close in like playing level to the state team. Like, they were only like put in regional 1 because they were like slightly worse in the goals, but like we would often have like 10 p.m. like midnight scrims against the regional teams, or like we'd swap a couple of players between the teams, so we'd have like pretty even 5v5 scrims. And so we'd play the scrims. We'd like set goals for like what we wanted to work on during the scrim, like whether it was to practice a specific champion, like a specific pick during the game, or we wanted to try a different play style, like splitting up the map, like playing split push comms, or early game, late game scaling, whatever. So we'd like go into the game, with goals on what to practice, and then afterwards we'd always like look at the VODs, see what we could have done differently, whether it was some slight mechanical plays or like any macro plays that we could have changed. And like having that second regional team to constantly practice against was like really good for both the state team and the regional team.
Yeah, I would be really interested to see if we could have had the regional team in the state tournament to see how they would have fared as well. But it's not broken up that way, and we had to submit 1 team. So yeah, I was definitely like, this is something special that we had this year. And what's crazy is last year we had a group of seniors that were, equally as competitive as this group, I'd say. And I know that this group has been playing together for a while, but that would have been really cool to see them finish out. And I do want to shout them out a little bit because, they didn't get their chance like this group did, and you feel bad about it, but I know that we would have developed such a strong program without their involvement as well, because they pushed this team to another level as well.
Well, yeah, I remember just from last year, I think there were like 118 League of Legends teams, and I think you guys had 3 teams in the top 10 or 15 in the state or something, because you could have more than 1 state team at the time. So it's just crazy to think about like how much success that you could have had, a whole manual Final Four almost.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But I will say, I think more people joined because it was digital this year. So a lot of stars aligned, but gosh, I'm really happy we got to show off our talent.
Well, that's great. Well, do you have any, you and your players have any final like parting shots before we call it a day here, Coach?
Let's see. I don't know. What do you guys think? Any other thoughts? Not really.
Have anything else to say?
Okay. Yeah, I'd say we're looking forward to the season to start up. I'm really excited to see just our practice and production get more formalized. It's a lot of things for me to juggle and make sure they're all in place. But I know that if we've got the shotcaster Jackson down there and Joe coordinating with League of Legends and Rocket League, then you might be seeing some more Twitch streams with some more production value down there that would really show, and hopefully we can pull in some more students. I know I've talked with Jackson about how do we get more people involved with maybe some video production or anything like that, because it's fine if I'm the one looking at videos and clipping things, but I'd like to have this develop into something so much more, because I know that it's got the capability to be, and this just doesn't go for a manual. Oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities for everybody. in JCPS in Kentucky right now. So
I would just like to say that esports does provide more opportunities for students to be in auxiliary roles like this than traditional sports, which can, as we were talking about earlier, branch off into different subjects or careers or whatever. So I'd be really excited to get more people involved in positions like this.
That's what I love to hear, Jackson. Thanks, man. You're giving me the sound bites. I love it.
Yeah, that's it. And coach, team, we really appreciate you guys coming on, sharing your opinions, your insights. It's, to me, the best episodes that we do on the Digital Learning Channel include the students of JCPS. Lot of insight there. Our team was on the chat, so I would definitely be remiss without repeating our congratulations to you, the team, for your championship. Appreciate Franklin, Henry, Joe, Nathan, and Jackson for being on here. So it's awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Coach. Hopefully in May we'll be having you guys on the channel again to celebrate number 2. So
yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. I appreciate you, man.
Yep. So that is just about it for our afternoon sessions on the Digital Learning Channel. We really appreciate you all tuning in and watching today. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Before I sign off officially, I want to show you kind of the the virtual professional learning schedule. We'll be back next week, next Wednesday on the 20th. And you can just get a quick glance here at some of the sessions that we'll be having next Wednesday. Lots of great information coming up, and you can find the this document that I'm showing you right now on the teacher side of the NTI website. So again, appreciate all that you all do out there. Between now and then, follow us on Twitter. Our kind of team we're on Twitter at JCPS Dig In. So hope to see you there. Thank you.